So, a few years ago, back when I first seriously started to explore New York City and delve into its history, I would read a ton of guidebooks. I'd read the usual mass market ones and really obscure ones. And I noticed that a lot of these guides would ignore anything north of 96th Street. The island of Manhattan goes on for at least another 128 streets north of 96th Street, give or take. So, barely seeing any upper Manhattan places recommended in these guidebooks was more than a little sus. So, I had to do my own research, and as the people who already live here will tell you, upper Manhattan neighborhoods of Harlem, Washington Heights, Morningside Heights, and Inwood are vibrant communities with great food, unique architecture, awe-inspiring landscapes, and a surprising historical significance. It's almost overwhelming what these places have to offer. But take a deep breath. I am here to help. If you're not sure where to start your uptown explorations, these interesting, underrated places and things to do in Upper Manhattan are a good place to start. Graffiti Hall of Fame. I'm a little embarrassed to admit that I only found out a few years ago that 106 and Park is not just the name of the beloved hip-hop music video countdown show from the early 2000s. It's an actual intersection of streets. It's East 106th Street and Park Avenue, so 106 and Park. And it's also where the greatest graffiti artists show off their work. So since 1980, graffiti artists that are strictly kings or better have been making their mark on the schoolyard walls of what's now known as the Jackie Robinson Educational Complex. Despite what you may think about graffiti, the work that's on display here isn't just like straight painted scribbles. This Hall of Fame is full of colorful and sophisticated pieces. Budget some time to really look at them when you visit. And speaking of time, you might want to plan ahead before visiting the Graffiti Hall of Fame. While the wall facing Park Avenue can be seen by anyone at any time, the art on the inside of the schoolyard is only available for public viewing on the weekends. If you visit during the week, you'll have to settle for peeking at the remaining art through a wire fence. It's still cool, but not the same experience. Malcolm Shabazz Harlem Market. Run by the Malcolm Shabazz Mosque, which itself is a lot to take in visually and historically, the Malcolm Shabazz Harlem Market has African clothing, art, jewelry, and body products, all under one canopy. If you visit, be sure to bring cash or have Cash App or Venmo installed on your phone, and be prepared to haggle a little bit. If you're on a strict budget, it's in your best interest to skip this place entirely. Even if you think you're just gonna browse, you're gonna end up buying something. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience. General Grant National Memorial, aka Grant's Tomb. How fitting, though unfair is it, that this underrated president has ended up with an equally underrated monument. It sucks for Grant, but we're the ones who are also truly missing out because Grant's tomb is a stunning work of architecture. If you're into the neoclassical style of the buildings in Washington, D.C., then you'll love every detail of this mausoleum. Just as fascinating as the visuals at Grant's tomb is Grant's life story. I wrote a blog post and did a whole video on it here, but if you chat up the National Park Rangers at Grant's tomb, they'll be more than happy to talk to you about Grant and his tomb. The Morris Jamel Mansion. If you like stately houses, you'll like the Morris Jamel Mansion. But if you're into juicy, scandalous history, you'll feel right at home. From Revolutionary War stories to ghost stories to failed plots to get to the top of New York society, The tales this house has to tell will keep you entertained for hours. After your tour of the house, relax in the romantic garden area or walk across the street to Sylvan Terrace. It's a street of nearly identical row houses that transport you back to the 1880s in New York. The High Bridge. What a coincidence that Manhattan's oldest house and its oldest remaining bridge are within the same neighborhood. The High Bridge opened in 1848 as a crucial part of the Croydon Aqueduct system, delivering pristine Westchester water to the parched, dirty city. By the 1860s, the High Bridge became a popular spot for people to stroll between Manhattan and the Bronx while taking in the views 140 feet above the Harlem River. After decades of neglect and disrepair, the High Bridge is seeing a resurgence in popularity now. But don't worry, it's nowhere as crowded as the Brooklyn Bridge. The Little Red Lighthouse. This 100-year-old lighthouse is a strong contender for the most heartwarming spot in Upper Manhattan. Originally serving Sandy Hook, New Jersey, in 1921 the lighthouse was relocated to Jeffries Hook, a particularly treacherous part of the Hudson River for ships to cross through. But with the construction of the George Washington Bridge, by 1931, the lighthouse lost its purpose, as the lights from the massive bridge also illuminated the river. The lighthouse was decommissioned and slated to be dismantled, but its story caught the attention of Hildegard H. Swift, who made it the subject of a children's book in 1942. The Little Red Lighthouse and the Great Gray Bridge was a hit with kids, who sent letters to officials pleading with them to keep the lighthouse. I guess no one wanted to be the bureaucrat who broke the hearts of thousands of children, so the lighthouse was allowed to stay. Woo! And it was even landmarked. So embrace your inner child by paying a visit to the lighthouse in Fort Washington Park. The Cloisters. You don't have to be a monk to appreciate the Cloisters. This is a branch of the Metropolitan Museum of Art that houses its collection of medieval art. Here you'll find pieces like stained glass windows, tomb effigies of saints, and the famous Hunt of the Unicorn tapestries. The art isn't only within the building, though. The building itself, constructed from remnants of actual medieval cloisters, hence the name, and also constructed from other holy sites in Europe, is itself a masterpiece. While you're in the area, take some time to explore Fort Tryon Park with its Rockefeller-worthy views of the Hudson River and the New Jersey Palisades. It's a reason why I said that. Look it up. Inwood Hill Park. Maybe I'm biased because I've been living in Inwood for over a year, but Inwood Hill Park is a shiny emerald in the crown that is Manhattan's parks. Now, don't go to Inwood Hill Park expecting like manicured lawns and gardens like you'll find in Central Park. Inwood Hill Park is wild. Like, really. It's home to Manhattan's last few acres of untouched forests and its only remaining salt marsh. Not to mention, it has caves that were once used by the Lenape, remnants of long-lost mansions and Revolutionary War forts. Oh, and of course, jaw-dropping views of the Hudson River. So grab a friend and your hiking boots and let me know if you catch a glimpse of the park's resident seal. Yeah, a seal pops up every once in a while. There you have it, 9 things to do in Upper Manhattan that put an end to the great guidebook myth that the rest of Manhattan disappears into the poor, dark, loud ether, apparently, north of 96th Street. What other underrated places in Upper Manhattan would you add to this list? And before you go, if you like this guide of things to do in Upper Manhattan, and you like what I do here at Shiloh in the City, like this video and subscribe to both this channel and my blog's email list. And of course, follow me on social media so we can nerd out on New York City together. Thanks for watching.